Hi, I'm Roy from Roy's Garage. Today I'm going to be working on a 2015 Toyota Sienna van. I'm going to show you how to replace the rear shock absorbers. These are the tools I'm going to be using today to do this job. A pry bar, 1/2 inch impact wrench, 21mm socket, 19mm socket, 6mm Allen wrench, 19mm wrench, another 19mm wrench, 17mm ratchet type wrench, 2 different type flat tip screwdrivers. This is the part I'm going to be using today to do this job. This is a rear shock absorber. So I got the vehicle jacked up and I'm going to be removing the wheel. Okay, so we're going to be working in the trunk area. We're going to be removing this cover. So I'm going to be moving this back seat forward. I'm going to be removing this cover. Removing this plastic cover. So this is the top of the shock absorber. So on the center, I'm going to be using a 6mm Allen wrench, and for the nut is going to be a 17mm wrench. So I'm going to be loosening up this nut. I'm going to be holding the center with a 6mm Allen wrench. And just loosen it up. Don't take it off all the way. That's good enough for now. So we're going to go under the vehicle. So I positioned my jack underneath the control arm and I jacked it up to relieve the pressure from the shock absorber. If you don't put that jack underneath, when you disconnect the top of the shock, your arm might drop. So you don't want that to happen. So position the jack underneath, jack it up a little bit to relieve the pressure on the shock, and now we're going to disconnect the top of the shock. Okay, so I'm going to be removing this lower part of the shock. There's a 19mm nut I got to remove. Now we can remove the shock. These are the bushings and washers that come with the shock absorber. So first we're going to be putting on the metal washer. Then we're going to be putting on this bushing. If you notice, this side is thicker than this side. So this side goes towards the body. If you notice over here, you can actually put a wrench, a 19mm wrench on it. What you can do is, while this shock is on the vehicle, somebody from underneath just hold this shaft with this 19mm wrench while putting on this nut. So now we're going to be installing the shock. Okay, so we're going to be installing the shock. We're going to be putting the top part in the body first. Okay, now we're going to be connecting the bottom shock to the arm. You got to compress it. Put it on. So I'm going to be putting on my washer, putting on the nut. Okay, so with my 19mm wrench, I'm going to be holding the shaft just like that. Now we're going to be putting on the top, putting on this rubber bushing, putting on the washer, putting on the nut. Okay, so I'm going to be tightening up the nut using a 19mm wrench. So as I'm tightening up this nut, we're going to be collapsing this rubber bushing. So what's going to happen is this rubber bushing is going to start to get fat. So you want to tighten it up enough to where the rubber bushing and the metal washer is kind of like level. Because you could actually keep cranking this guy down and over tighten it. But you don't want to over tighten and split that bushing. Okay, so now this rubber bushing is level with the washer. So I'm going to be putting back this rubber cover. It doesn't really fit too good because this is a different brand of shock. We can just put it on. Putting back the cover. So I'm going to be removing my wrench. So I'm going to be lowering the jack. So I'm going to be putting on the tire. I'm going to be using my pry bar to lift up the tire. And you're good to go. So that's how you replace a rear shock absorber. If you have any questions, comment below. Make sure you to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I see you in the next video. Aloha.